So, imagine looking at your team chat.
Okay.
And instead of just using the AI to, answer a random trivia question or maybe write a really quick email, the AI is actually actively pulling call notes. It's qualifying a brand new sales lead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's tracking a massive multi-step project for you.
Mm.
And it does all of this without you having to ask it a dozen different times.
I mean, it's a profound shift because for a very long time, the public and frankly, most of the business world has viewed AI as this private one-on-one chat bot.
Right, like a silo.
Exactly. You ask it a trivia question, it gives you an answer, and that interaction just lives in that little private silo. But what we're really looking at today is how that underlying technology is aggressively moving out of that silo.
Which is exactly the mission of our deep dive today. We're unpacking this massive structural shift in enterprise AI. Specifically, we're looking at OpenAI's recent rollout, which happened April 22, 2026, of what they're calling Workspace agents inside ChatGPT.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this, you are probably trying to figure out how AI fits into your long-term career, right?
Yeah.
Or, your company's broader strategy.
Absolutely. And understanding this evolution, it isn't just helpful, it is completely critical right now. Because the era of using AI like a superpowered search engine, that's ending. We are now officially entering the era of the productivity layer clear pause.
I really like that phrase. It perfectly frames what's actually happening.
It does, yeah.
Because when we talk about a productivity layer clear pause, we mean that AI is no longer just this standalone app you open in a separate tab when you're stuck on a math problem.
Right.
It's becoming this foundational fabric that's just woven across all the software your team already uses to get work done.
To put it in perspective for you, think about how we've used AI for the last few years. It was basically like having a really, really smart dictionary sitting on your desk.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Like, it was incredibly helpful, but you still had to open it up, find the right page, extract the info, and then, do all the actual work yourself.
Exactly. The human was the bottleneck.
Totally. So what OpenAI is signaling here is a complete transition from assistant to coworker, clear pause.
Yeah, a massive leap.
And moving from assistant to coworker, clear pause, means you are essentially upgrading from that static dictionary on your desk to hiring a junior teammate who actually sits in your office.
Right, someone who actually knows what's going on.
Exactly. They know your company's overarching goals, they have the keys to the filing cabinets, and they could just run with the project while you focus on higher-level strategy.
But, I mean, if we follow that logic, if we are truly dropping a digital coworker into the mix, the immediate question is, how does this actually function inside a complex, messy company?
Right, because corporate workflows aren't usually neat and tidy.
No, they are incredibly messy. And that's the core of OpenAI's April 2026 announcement. These agents aren't designed for asking one-off questions about the weather or just writing a polite email to your boss.
Right, they do more.
They are specifically engineered to help teams automate tasks directly inside their shared workspaces over and over again. You build the architecture once, right?
Okay.
You give it instructions, and it just sits in your shared environment, ready for anyone on your team to trigger it for a specific job.
I have to stop you there, actually, and push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because you're calling this a coworker. But to me, this still just sounds like a really advanced macro. Or, maybe a Zapier automation.
I hear that a lot, yeah.
Right. We have had automation tools in the enterprise for a decade now. If I just program a tool to run a sequence of events, step 1, step 2, step 3, how is that actually a shift in AI? Aren't we just kind of rebranding old software here?
That is the perfect skeptical question. It gets right to the heart of the mechanism. Because traditional automation, like a macro, is completely deterministic.
Meaning it needs perfect conditions.
Exactly. It requires highly structured data. If a client emails you, and the format of their email is even slightly different than what the macro expects, the whole automation just breaks.
It's brittle. Like if a comma is out of place, the code fails.
Precisely. The macro doesn't understand context at all. It only understands rigid rules. But a workspace agent, Clear Pause, uses a large language model to process unstructured data.
So it can handle the mess.
Yes. It can read a messy typo-filled email from a client, understand the actual intent, realize that the client is, say, asking for a project update, and then go find that specific update.
Oh, wow. So it's applying actual reasoning, not just following a script.
Exactly. That is why it earns the title of a workspace agent, Clear Pause. It's an AI designed to work dynamically inside a shared company or team environment, adapting to the information as it comes in.
Okay, that actually makes total sense. The flexibility is the real differentiator here. So instead of just automating a mouse click, it's basically automating a thought process within a specific boundary.
Yes. And because it can handle that unstructured messiness, it becomes the absolute perfect tool for a recurring workflow clear pause.
Let's define that quickly for you guys listening.
Yeah.
A recurring workflow clear pause is simply a multi-step process that happens repeatedly in your business.
Things you do every week.
Right. It could be sending out weekly meeting summaries, categorizing incoming customer support tickets by how urgent they are, or even doing initial background research on a new vendor.
All that tedious stuff.
Exactly. So if you are looking at your team's daily tasks, you might say to your manager, this is a recurring workflow, so it is a good candidate for automation. Clear pause.
And that is exactly how enterprise leaders need to be thinking right now. But I want to be really careful here. We hear a lot of hype in the tech world.
We really do.
We need to be crystal clear that these agents are not autonomous CEOs. You don't just click a button and let the AI run the entire company while everyone goes to the beach.
Right. You can't just run the whole business by itself.
No. They are not independent decision makers navigating highly ambiguous business strategies. They require parameters.
Okay, so show me, don't just tell me. To ground this for everyone, what does a realistic, safe use case actually look like right now?
Good question.
Like, what is a practical example of one of these agents doing real work today without, over-promising?
The clearest example comes directly from the sales workflow scenario that OpenAI provided in their rollout.
Okay, let's hear it.
So imagine a human sales rep, let's call her Sarah. Normally, when a new prospective client enters the system, Sarah has to completely stop what she's doing and manually execute a bunch of background tasks.
Right, yeah. She has to dig through Salesforce, look at all the past interactions, probably Google the company's recent news, and figure out if they even have the budget for her product. That can easily take, 45 minutes of manual labor before she even types a single word to the client?
Exactly. It's a huge time sink. But with a managed agent, the moment that new lead pings the system, the agent just takes over those initial repetitive steps.
Just automatically.
Automatically. First, the AI reads and pulls together all the previous call notes associated with that account.
Okay.
Second, it gathers fresh account research on the prospective client right from the web. Third, it evaluates and qualifies that new lead based on the company's specific criteria.
Wow.
And finally, it drafts a highly tailored follow-up email. So by the time Sarah even opens her laptop, a comprehensive brief and a draft email are just waiting for her. The speed of execution literally goes from 45 minutes to 30 seconds.
That is incredible when you scale across like a 50-person sales team. But wait, I have a question about this. How does the AI actually know what a quote-unquote qualified lead looks like for Sarah's specific company? Because every company has totally different standards for who they actually want to sell to.
Right. It knows because the agent has been programmed to understand the team context, clear pause.
Ah, okay.
When we talk about team context, clear pause, we're referring to the shared knowledge, the specific rules, and the historical data of your unique group. The agent isn't out there just guessing based on the open internet,
Right. It's not just using generic Wikipedia knowledge.
Exactly. It knows how your specific team operates because it's been fed your specific playbooks.
But the other half of that equation is the data itself, right? Because if the AI is actively digging through previous call notes to build this brief for Sarah, it has to physically reach into the company's databases.
It does. And it achieves that through Connected App's Clear Pause.
Okay, so it plugs in.
Right. A managed agent isn't trapped inside a conversational chat window anymore. It uses APIs to reach out and plug into your external software programs.
So things like Salesforce.
Yes. Your customer relationship management software, your team calendar, your shared cloud drives, these are all Connected Apps. Clear Pause. The agent pulls the data from them, processes it, and brings the result right back to the user.
Okay, so I can literally hear the IT and security professionals listening to this right now starting to sweat.
Oh, definitely.
Because if you're an enterprise leader, introducing a system that can just independently read your databases and draft client emails sounds incredibly intimidating.
It's terrifying if you don't understand it.
Right. As a smart project manager, you would likely tell your team, let's start with a low-risk workflow before we scale it. Clear pause.
And that is the only responsible approach. You absolutely do not start by letting an AI manage your core financial transactions.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't. You start with something contained like drafting initial sales outreach or maybe summarizing internal IT tickets.
Because my thought is, if the AI is actively digging through your company's CRM to find client data, how does it know which data it's actually allowed to see?
Right.
Like, if it has access to the connected app's clear pause, what stops the AI from wandering into the wrong folder, accidentally reading the CEO's private salary files, and then using that information to draft a totally inappropriate email? That introduces a massive security risk.
That exact fear, the risk of the AI accessing sensitive or prohibited data, is the core challenge of enterprise AI today. It is the whole reason why OpenAI's enterprise direction is so heavily focused on infrastructure and control, rather than just making the AI, smart.
Right, the intelligence is almost secondary now.
Completely. The tech media, like TechCrunch and Axios, they've been sounding the alarm on this for months.
Mhm.
Managing these agents is a fast-growing enterprise hurdle. You cannot just unleash 100 intelligent agents into a corporate network and hope they behave.
It would be an absolute compliance nightmare.
A total disaster, yeah. And this is exactly why OpenAI launched their enterprise platform, which they called Frontier, back in February of 2026. The entire purpose of platforms like that is to help large companies build, deploy, and manage these fleets of agents safely.
So mechanically speaking, how do they do that? How do you actually put a leash on an intelligence that can read unstructured data?
You do it through architecture. You establish what is known as a permission boundary, clear pause.
Let's break that down because it is so essential. Think of a permission boundary. Clear pause, not just as a promise the AI makes to behave, but as a hard physical architectural limit.
Exactly.
Imagine giving an employee a digital key card that only works on the third floor of your building.
That's a great analogy.
Right. The AI can wander around all at once on the third floor, which might be your sales data, but the absolute second it tries to scan into the fourth floor where, say, the HR and salary files are kept, the system mathematically blocks the request. The AI literally cannot perceive the data beyond that permission boundary, clear pause.
It just hits a wall. And just as important as knowing where the AI cannot go is knowing when the AI needs to stop its automated process and ask a human for permission to proceed.
Which brings us to a really critical failsafe in these workflows, the handoff clear pause. A handoff clear pause is the exact moment when the AI stops its work and gives the control back to a human being.
So important.
So in our sales scenario with Sarah, the AI does all the heavy lifting, right? It reads the notes, does the research, and writes the email. But it does not send the email.
Right. Stops.
There is a handoff clear pause. Sarah, the human, must read the draft, verify its accuracy, and manually click send.
And this is a major philosophical shift in how companies are evaluating AI technology right now. If I were advising a corporate board today, I would tell them the value is not only in the model, it is in the workflow integration. Clear pause.
I really want you all listening to internalize that. It is not just about OpenAI or anyone else having the most intelligent, creative language model anymore.
No, that race is kind of over.
The real competitive advantage is how seamlessly and safely that model fits into the existing structure of your daily business. And because of that reality, when you are setting these systems up, a project leader has to state clearly, we need to define what the agent can access and what it cannot access. Clear pause.
Exactly. If you don't define those boundaries with absolute clarity, the enterprise simply cannot adopt the technology. The legal and reputational risks are just way too high.
Okay, so let's walk through the logic here.
Yeah.
Let's say you've built the system. You have established your permission boundary, clear pause, so the AI definitely can't read the CEO's emails.
Good step one.
Right. And the agent is actively working on a recurring workflow, clear pause, qualifying sales leads, and handing them off to Sarah. But as a manager, even with those safeguards, you can't just blindly trust a black box forever.
Of course not.
If Sarah comes to you and reports that the AI suddenly started drafting emails with outdated pricing, how do you figure out what went wrong? You need a way to track what this digital coworker is actually doing all day.
You absolutely do. Once you move from a private personal chat window to a shared managed agent operating on behalf of a whole company, deep transparency becomes mandatory.
Right, you need to see inside.
Yeah, and if we look closely at the OpenAI Help Center release notes regarding their admin-facing controls, we see a very clear picture of this reality. It is highly technical, deeply unsexy, and absolutely essential.
We're talking about the back-end management here, like the security cameras for the AI.
Yes. The system gives administrators the ability to look under the hood. They don't just see the final output, they see the entire process.
What kind of things can they see?
Well, they can look up a specific agent's ID, they can review its recent activity logs, they can see exactly which connected apps it accessed in the last hour, what specific memory files it referenced to get its information, and even what automated schedules it's running on.
Oh, wow. So if the AI pulls that outdated pricing, the admin can look at the logs and say, oh, okay, the AI referenced a PDF from 2024 instead of the live database. They
Exactly.
can see exactly what the AI was doing while the humans were looking away.
Precisely. And the admins also get detailed analytics on adoption, like how many unique users are actually interacting with a specific agent and how many times an agent successfully runs over a given period. It totally removes the mystery from the machine.
And this brings us to a concept that is rapidly becoming the most important topic for anyone working in corporate strategy today. That concept is governance, clear pause.
Yeah, the big buzzword.
Now, I know governance, clear pause usually sounds like incredibly boring back-end paperwork. It sounds like endless compliance training. But in the age of AI, governance is actually the steering wheel and the brakes for your entire operation.
It really is.
It's the comprehensive system of rules, practices, and technical processes by which you direct, monitor, and control your AI tools.
Because without robust governance, you just have a massively powerful engine sitting in your company, revving at top speed with absolutely no steering wheel. It might go exactly where you want it to, or it might just drive straight through a brick wall.
Exactly. And the specific tool you use to check that your governance is actually working is called an audit trail clear pause.
A lifesaver for admins.
Truly. An audit trail clear pause is the step-by-step digital record that shows exactly what the AI did, when it did it, and what specific pieces of data it touched along the way.
Having that chronological record is non-negotiable for large organizations because if an AI makes a mistake on a sales contract or, if it accidentally surfaces sensitive information, the company needs to be able to look back through the system and see exactly why and how that mistake occurred.
Right.
Was it a flaw in the prompt? Was it pulling from the wrong database entirely? The audit trail gives you the answer.
So if you are sitting in a meeting next week and your team is excitedly discussing a new AI rollout, you should absolutely be the person who raises their hand and asks, can we review the audit trail before we expand the pilot? Clear pause.
It is the smartest, most pragmatic question you can ask in that room. It shows everyone that you understand scaling AI isn't about novelty anymore. It's about reliability.
So taking a step back from all the technical details, what does this massive shift mean for you, the listener? I think the biggest realization here is that the next era of enterprise AI isn't just a race to build the smartest, most creative artificial intelligence.
We've kind of largely achieved that already.
We have. The race right now is to build the most manageable, measurable, and reliable AI infrastructure.
It really represents the maturation of the industry. We are officially moving past that novelty phase of, oh, look what this fun chatbot can write, and entering the real operational phase of, look how this managed agent integrates safely and reliably into our quarterly sales process.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today regarding OpenAI's Workspace agents and this huge structural shift in enterprise strategy.
Let's synthesize everything we've discussed down into 3 crystal clear takeaways that you can actually bring to your next team meeting.
Sounds good. Takeaway number 1, AI at work is fundamentally moving from conversation to coordination. We are making the transition from assistant to coworker clear pause, where agents are no longer just answering trivia, but actively managing multi-step tasks across a variety of connected apps. Clear pause.
Perfect.
Takeaway number 2, governance, clear pause, and permissions are no longer just boring back-end paperwork. They are actually a core feature of the product itself. Architectural limits like a permission boundary, clear pause, and transparent historical records like an audit trail, clear pause, are the very things that make this technology usable and safe in the real world.
Yeah, you literally can't use it without them.
Right. And finally, takeaway number 3. For human employees, the most useful skill right now is no longer just writing clever prompts for a chatbot.
That's a big one.
It is. The most valuable skill in this new era is learning how to analyze, break down, and describe your own workflows clearly so that a Workspace agent ClearPause can actually be programmed to assist you.
And if we connect that third takeaway to the bigger picture, it raises an incredibly important, almost provocative question for all of us to consider.
What's that?
Well, if the highest value human skill in the modern office becomes the ability to map, describe, and manage workflows for AI agents, What happens to the traditional corporate roles where an employee's entire job was just executing that repetitive workflow?
Wow. That is, that's the elephant in the room right there.
Think about it deeply. If you spend 80% of your week manually pulling call notes, cross-referencing spreadsheets, and drafting initial emails,
Yeah.
and suddenly a managed agent can do all of that with perfect accuracy in 30 seconds, your job description has to fundamentally change. How will our job titles, our daily responsibilities, and our entire career trajectory shift when essentially we all have to transition from being doers to becoming AI managers?
That is a fascinating and honestly slightly daunting thought to leave you with. The very nature of work itself is literally being rewritten before our eyes.
It really is.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, understanding the underlying mechanisms and this vocabulary, like how a recurring workflow clear pause relies on team context. Clear pause gives you a major edge.
Absolutely.
It helps you navigate this massive transition, not just as a passive observer, but as a strategic leader who understands how to actually manage the new digital coworker sharing your office. Keep questioning the tools you use, keep learning how they work under the hood, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.